Ain't it?
You know, like,
Yes.
right?
Oh, yeah? Yes, it does.
Virtually.
I'm not. Doesn't have to be really funny. Yeah.
He works on tech.
Okay.
Else, if I have a question, I answer.
Okay, welcome everyone to GPS for the Soul Part 2, part of the Jewish U curriculum. We passed out the little pamphlets here. We're going to concentrate on a number of chapters in the Tanya. If you were with us for GPS for the Soul Part 1, or Part 1, because I think there was a Part 1 twice, I think. Yeah, so this is either Part 2 or Part 3, depending on how you count. Part 2. So we're going to be studying in these next 4 classes, still the Tanya, GPS for the Soul, still the Tanya that you've come to know and love, and I also love. And we're going to focus on chapters 26, 27, 28. They're full. These chapters are full of like real life practical scenarios, at least in my own experience, that have a lot of takeaways, have a lot of practical application. There's not so much theory in these chapters. There's mostly action-oriented items. Or to phrase it in other words, where the first, let's say, roughly 25 chapters of the Tanya are largely informational. They give you a lot of information, the first 25 chapters of Tanya. Starting with chapter 26, there's a shift from what I would call informational to instructional. So we're going from information to instructions. That's kind of where we are right now in chapter 26. And I would like to say, just by way of somewhat of an introduction, that these chapters are heavy, especially part of the chapter we're going to study today. It's very heavy. So we're just going to go into the deep end anyway. That's okay. Everybody here is adults. So it's going to be heavy. Or I should say it might be heavy. Maybe it won't be. It depends on how you guys take it. It depends on how you react to it. And if we have questions, comments, if you want to discuss things, and so forth. So again, Jewish U, we're doing now GPS for the Soul. The official name of this class for tonight is Count Your Blessings, all of them. That's the official name. I hope we'll figure out why I called it that. We might not. I don't know. We'll have to see. So you have your booklets, chapter 26. It goes from right to left like a Torah book, even though you have Hebrew and English in the book. But I figured it's a Hebrew book, Hebrew textbook, even though there's English in it. We're all Jewish here, and it's a Torah text. So let's go from right to left, because that's the way, right to left. You know what they say about, I think it was Golda Meir, the former prime minister of Israel. I think she was asking Henry Kissinger, who's Jewish, the American Secretary of State, about various political issues and life issues and so forth. And he said, Prime Minister Meir, I want to let you know that first, I am an American. Then, after that, I'm a Jew. And she said, Mr. Kissinger, I'll have you know that in Israel, we read from right to left. So first a Jew, then an American. In any event, that being said, we're Jews, we're Americans. Well, I'm Canadian too, so don't hold it against me. But in any event, chapter 26, you ready? On your marks, get set, go. I want to tell you, I want to teach you, says the Alter Rebbe, a general principle. I'm going to read it in Hebrew just because that's the way I learned it. And for me, that carries with it a certain weight of authenticity. Not to mention the fact that the author, I think this is actually the first time I'm sharing this following point in GPS for the Soul. The author of this book, who my little son who was here a minute ago, was not so little anymore, is named after. He worked on this book for 20 years. Okay, not the first person to do that. Many people worked on books for 20 years or more. In fact, my father recently published his PhD dissertation 50 years after he actually got his PhD, and he just published it as a book. So there you have it. Sometimes things take a while, but sometimes good things take a while. It's okay. So the author who worked on this text for 20 years, it's not just that he worked on it for 20 years. It's that every time that he was contemplating, should I change something in the text, even a single letter? And we know that in Hebrew, sometimes one letter is actually a word. Like, for example, when you put the letter vav at the beginning of a word, it means and. So there was at least one instance that I know of, maybe more, when he was contemplating, should I add the letter vav here, thereby changing the sentence into and, or should I not have the letter Vav? And in order to do that, he would first in his mind review the entire book from the very first word to the very last word. He would review the entire book in his mind to see what impact would that single letter have on the overall flow and meaning of the text. So that's one reason I like to actually read the words, because the words are pregnant with meaning. They carry within them tremendous depth and profundity, and they are extremely precise. It's like I once read a study that, you know, nowadays with medical breakthroughs and so much known about the world around us, you know what? I think, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure the number one killer of human beings is in the entire world. You know what it is? You could check me on Google after. You know what the number one, huh?
Obesity.
Obesity. That's probably up there. It's probably up there. Huh?
In America, at least.
In America, it's up there in America. Yeah, it actually is up there. So as far as I know, and someone can please Google this to check it out. Please someone right now. Huh? Number, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. The question is, what is the number one killer of human beings in the entire world?
Human beings.
Human beings.
Huh?
Heart disease. So I think someone can please Google it, check it out. I think malaria transmitted by mosquitoes.
No way. Yeah,
Mosquito-borne malaria. Is that accurate? Anyone? I've heard that. So while you're Googling it, scientists were contemplating at some point, should we work on heart disease number one?
I apologize. Let me make sure.
Google AI.
In the world.
You're asking the whole time, not
AI
right now.
Oh, of all
thank
time?
you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guys, you're reading into my question way too much. Like, I just asked a simple question. Don't make it a whole title. Like, it's a question. Okay, while you're Googling this and figuring this out, so scientists were contemplating, you know what we can do with modern medicine nowadays? We could create an anti-vaccine, if you will, right? That we will somehow, maybe like people, they'll put it in the water where mosquitoes reproduce and grow. And the mosquitoes will then absorb this death serum, and we could wipe out the entire population of mosquitoes in the world, saving millions of lives. It's a good idea, no? Who doesn't hate mosquitoes, right? Is there any human being that loves mosquitoes? I doubt it. You could always find someone who loves like anything weird or ugly or whatever. Like, you know, every kid is pretty to their mother, right? Mother thinks every kid is pretty. But like, there's some things that are just plain ugly and annoying, like mosquitoes. So then let's wipe out the entire population of mosquitoes in the world. Number one, that'll be more pleasant to be outside in the summer. And number two, it'll take away the number one or one of the major, you guys don't know how to Google apparently, or one of the top causes of human mortality in the world. However, scientists were worried that we don't know exactly what's going to happen to the ecosystem if we do that. How will it throw off the delicate balance of the world that we live in? Maybe there are other factors that we're not quite aware of. And if we wipe out the mosquito population in the world,
Correct.
right?
ch.26.
Can you please share it on the chat in this group, please? Because I want to look at it later, and everyone else wants to look at it later too. So they were worried about what would it do to the delicate balance. So similarly, I may suggest, but in the realm of holiness, in the realm of goodness, the author of our beloved Tanya, I have a little one here, it's very small. I have even a smaller one actually as well. When he would make a change, when he would contemplate making a change of even a single letter, he was worried, how will that throw off the balance of the entire text? Therefore, in order to be sure, yes, I want to add the vav, or no, I don't want to add the vav, the word add, he would review the entire book from beginning to end just to see what it would do. So for that reason, I'm reading in Hebrew. Okay, so as follows. Just like if you are engaged in a physical battle, a fight, a street fight, a physical war, such as for example, you got two guys, and for whatever reason, they're fighting. They're wrestling. So maybe it's a staged WWF match. Maybe it's a boxing match with Mike Tyson. I don't know, whatever it is. Maybe it's a real fight in the street. I don't know what it is. Some kind of battle. Each one is trying to emerge victorious, whether it's for the prize money or whether it's just to stay alive. Who's going to win? You want to place bet. We're not betting people, right? We don't believe in betting really all that much. We don't believe in gambling. But let's say you wanted to gamble, you wanted to bet. Which of these two people fighting is going to win? So no, what are the factors? Can you predict the match in advance? No. Aura says no. Abby says no.
No.
Anyone here ready to go on a limb and predict who's going to win? What are the factors? What are the factors here?
Well, you can look at their strategy.
Look at their strategy. Okay. That's one factor is the strategy. Okay. Anyone else?
Look at their past matches.
Look at their history of success or otherwise. Okay. Okay. Maybe it might be that they don't look like the best team, but they win every week. Could be. Okay. Yeah.
What if one guy is physically bigger and stronger than the other?
Okay. One guy's a beast. One guy's massive. And the other guy is like a, 4-foot little pipsqueak. Okay. The beast is probably going to win. Okay. Okay. Any other factors?
Experience.
Experience. Okay. Experience is a good one. Yeah. Experience. That was part of what was, when I was younger growing up. I remember Mike Tyson, the boxer. Part of what was shocking about him was that he was so young. The guy was like 18 or 19, and he was destroying much more seasoned opponents. And he was short. All these things that was part of what surprised
Wisdom.
him he didn't even, wisdom is also a factor. Experience, wisdom, physical strength and brute force, experience, track record, any other factors? What about patience? No, I heard patience. Is that what someone said? Motivation. If you're motivated to win, you've already got a leg up. If you're motivated, yeah, that's right. What's your motivation? Whatever your motivation may be. If you're motivated to win, you've got a good chance. Yeah. Determination. Yeah. Together with motivation, I'm going to win this. I'm going to come out on top. Anything else? What about speed? Maybe you're not as strong. Maybe you're not as experienced, but you are fast. You are all over the place. So there's a lot of factors, right? Let's take a look. Hine, behold, if one of the wrestlers, one of the guys fighting, is lazy, sluggish, heavy, I don't mean heavy like big. I mean, he's like heavy, sluggish, lazy, not motivated, perhaps we might say. Then yenutzach bekal v'yipol gam imhu gibor yosem chaveira. He will easily be knocked down and overcome, even if he's stronger, even if he's technically the better opponent. But if one guy is lazy, it kind of doesn't matter how strong he is. It doesn't really matter his strategy or his life experience. If he's lazy and sluggish, the match is basically over before it's even started. So the Alter Rebbe says that's a mashal, that's a parable for our spiritual battles in life. So too with the battle that a person has with their evil inclination. It's impossible to defeat one's yetzer hara, one's evil inclination, if you are sluggish, if you are lazy, if you're not motivated, if you're not determined. It's largely about the mindset. You don't necessarily have to be all that strong or talented or experienced necessarily. Rather, what is the key factor in defeating our evil inclination? Ki'im bezrizus, alacrity. Anybody know what alacrity means? You study for the SATs?
Oh,
Yeah, alacrity.
is it like being quick to do mitzvah?
Yeah, alacrity. Well, yeah, alacrity doesn't mean quick to do mitzvah per se, but yes.
That's what zrizut means, like running.
Rizut, alacrity, zeal, excitement, quick to act.
What's zrizut?
Huh?
Like-
Zrizut?
So zrizut is alacrity? Okay.
Like Rivka, this week's.
How so?
She had zrizut to get water for both Eliezer and his camels.
Oh, so not only did Rivka get water, she did it with alacrity.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Mitzvah b'lev. Yeah.
Okay. Kim bezrizus, you have to act with alacrity, with quickness, with speed, and that comes from simcha. That comes from being joyous, You have to remove oneself of any trace of sadness. That's a tall order. I don't know how we're supposed to remove oneself of every trace of sadness. I mean, like, hello, being human, part of that means you're going to have ups and downs in life. You're going to sometimes wake up and you don't even know why, you just don't feel so great. It just happens. But he says, no, you got to get that out. You got to take it out with the trash. Because if you are sad, lazy, emotionally preoccupied, depressed. I don't mean clinically depressed. I mean just, depressed, the blues. Or negative. You're not going to win. You will not be able to overcome your evil inclination. You have to be joyous, open, relaxed, focused, determined. Questions or comments so far? Yes, Daniela.
As they say, shake it off.
Shake it off, yeah.
Who's they?
T-swizzle.
Just one person.
I don't know who that is, but all right.
It's been a lot of years, but yes, I'll say it's.
What do we say in L'Chadodi? Anyone have a sit with them? We say,
Someone was our fucking people were at the beyond with fun.
oh, we do say that too, right? That's not what I was thinking of.
Is it
Yeah.
like, get up?
Yeah, we say, Hisnari me offer kumi. Get up out of the offer, get up out of the dust. Kumi, get up. Yeah. So in other words, in plain English, if we want to be successful at life, if we want to be successful in dealing with our personal yetzer hara, our evil inclination, and the negativity, and the sluggishness and the doubt, we have to be and must remain enthusiastic. There's no replacement for enthusiasm in our spiritual lives. It's like, you give someone like a nice plate of shawarma and they're like, oh yeah. We got to be like that in our spiritual lives. That's the way we have to be. Like, oh yeah. I'm ready to devour this one.
Kool-Aid man mindset.
What?
Kool-Aid man mindset.
Yeah, it's it. It's the way you got to be that way. Okay. Any other questions or comments before we continue? Jordan, you okay? Questions, comments? Good? All right. Anyone else? Okay, yalla, let's go further. The verse says, that with every sadness, there will be profit, not a prophet like prophecy, P-R-O-P-H-E-C-Y, profit like P-R-O-F-I-T. There will be a gain. The whole with every eitzev, sadness, there will be a gain, a profit. What does that mean? Pirush, that there will be some advantage coming out of it. The language itself, from every sadness will come a profit, indicates that the sadness itself has no inherent value. Like, sometimes some people, like, they love being sad. It's like the most enjoyable thing is to just feel bad about yourself. Or like my wife likes to refer to, like, sometimes people have they throw their own pity party. You heard of such a thing?
Yeah.
Like, throw yourself a party, a pity party. Some people love it. You're like, oh, everybody feel bad for me. I don't have any money. I didn't do well in my exams. Blah, 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 blah. Nobody likes me. I'm not, God forbid, mocking those feelings. Those feelings need to be addressed and dealt with. But you don't need to make a pity party out of it. We have to lift ourselves up. We have to remain enthusiastic. The sadness itself, there's nothing good about that. Nothing positive about feeling sad or down, even though it's very real. But just because an emotion is real, doesn't mean I should wallow in it. One of my teachers and mentors from a rabbi very close to, thank God, he lives in Jerusalem. I met him already almost 27, 28 years ago or so. And he became a mentor that I'm still in touch with regularly. So he told me once that the dirtiest word, I'm going to quote it the way he said it, because I remember he loves words. I also love words. So we connected on that level. And he is a translator, actually, of texts. So he has a command of English language, and he also has a command of Yiddish and Hebrew as well. He translates Yiddish and Hebrew texts into English. And someone told me once that he's the only translator in the entire Jewish world who's able to translate from Yiddish and retain the feeling of Yiddish in English, which if you know any Yiddish, you know that's Yiddish has it's not just the language of words, there's a feeling in Yiddish. That's some of the words like you can't really translate. There's a feeling to it. But anyway, so he told me the following, and I quote: the dirtiest word in the Hasidic lexicon is depression. That's what he told me. The dirtiest word in the Hasidic lexicon means sprach, that's how you say it in Yiddish, the language. The dirtiest word in the Hasidic vocabulary, the vocabulary of the Tanya, is the word depressed. Again, he didn't mean clinically. So we stay away from that word in any possibility, even though it's very real. And people experience moments of sadness. We're not saying that you should deny those moments of sadness. What the Alter Rebbe is pushing us here to is not to wallow in it, not to accept it, not to let it be as it is, because there's nothing redeeming about sadness or depression in and of itself. From there can and will spring a great joy. But the sadness itself, don't get stuck there. Let's explain further. The only positive thing is the outcome, the result later. But the thing in and of itself is not positive. Sadness in and of itself, no positivity. Will come to joy later. That's positive. That's redeeming. And that's something that we want to direct ourselves towards. So what happens? B'mar nafsha, when a person experiences a bitterness of soul, we'll try to explain this a bit, a bitterness of soul, v'lev nishbar, and a broken heart. What does that accomplish? The Iron Curtain is broken. Which Iron Curtain? Not the one that was in Russia. That too, that was already broken. But spiritually, that represents this idea here. That then is broken a spirit of impurity, is broken the feelings of sadness, because the sadness creates an iron curtain between me and my creator. The sadness causes a divide, not just between me and Hashem, between me and all my friends, between me and my spouse, between me and my kids. Imagine a husband comes home from work every day and is depressed. How does his wife feel? How do his kids feel? It's like now their depression, the husband's depression is now on the entire family. And it creates a wall, creates a barrier between people. So we got to get rid of that barrier. So how do you get rid of the barrier? You knock it down. You break it. There's a wall in the way. What do you do with the wall? No political commentary here. You break it. You smash down the wall. Once the wall is smashed down, there's no more barrier between us. And there's no more barrier between me and Hashem, God forbid. So what does this mean? So there were, maybe you heard one of the famous Hasidic Rebbes, maybe someone has heard of him before, was named the Menachem Mendel of Kotsk. He was usually called the Kotsker Rebbe. And he was known for being very sharp. Sharp means, like, in addition to being sharp, intelligent, but sharp in this context, what I mean to say is that he didn't hold back what was on his mind. It was no holds barred. Like if he felt something about you, he would tell you.
So he was blunt.
He was extremely
opposite
blunt.
of sharp.
Oh,
Yeah,
I like that.
Kind of the same. And,
I like that. I like that. He was blunt in his sharpness. When do we use a spoon on Jewish practice?
Oh, but you kind of.
Oh, checking for comments. Okay, just making sure. Make sure everyone's on the ball. What else do we use for the comments?
What did you say? What did you use?
I said, when do we use a spoon in Jewish practice? And the answer was when we check for comments. What else do we use for checking for comments? Huh? Feather. Why do we use a feather for? Scoop it up. Scoop what up? Comments. Where are you scooping from? Why can't you just scoop it like this? Or with the spoon? The spoons are for scooping, right? What do you need the feather for? What? To help it do what? Help. Okay, yeah. The feather is because you're supposed to check for chametz, not just on the table and in your fridge, in the cracks and crevices. So you need a feather to get in there. What else do we use?
A candle or flashlight?
Okay, now we're getting political. A candle or a flashlight. Okay, that's debatable, but okay, fine. In your car, when you check for chametz in your car, what you should use a flashlight, not a candle. Why? Candle,
Candle, their gas and.
fire hazard.
Oh.
Okay, anyway, sorry, it's not Pesach yet, I'm just keeping you on your toes. Okay, so the cuts, was sharp, blunt, spoon, checking for chametz, there we go. Circled back around to the Kotzker Rebbe. There's a book in English called, I think, Sayings of the Kotzker Rebbe, or Sayings of Menachem Kotzker, written by someone by the name of Simcha Raz, the joy of secrets. That was his name. Simcha Joy Raz means a secret, the joy of secrets. That's his name. Secrets of joy or the joy of secrets. So he wrote a book that maybe you've heard of. It was one of the earliest English books, which is fairly well known, called A Tzaddik in Our Times. You ever see that book about a person in Israel named Rabbi Aryeh Levin? Okay, anyway, I met him last summer. He passed away recently, but I met him last summer. Anyway, so there's a whole book of sayings of Menachem of Kotzk. So the Chassidim of Kotzk, his disciples, his students, had these various like paradoxical things they used to like to say, such as, there's nothing straighter than a broken stick. They used to say that. Or maybe they would say nothing straighter than a curved stick or something like that. They used to say there's nothing more whole than a broken heart. That's what they used to say. Nothing more whole than a broken heart. What do you mean? A broken heart is broken. It's not whole. No. They said there's nothing more whole than a broken heart, which is what we're talking about here, a broken heart. How is a broken heart whole? What do you think the Chassidim of the Kotzker Rebbe meant? Nothing more whole, W-H-O-L-E, nothing more whole than a broken heart. What do you think they meant? How could a broken heart be whole? How could a crooked stick be straight? Doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Being able to experience being whole means you also have to be broken in some way.
Okay, very nice. Being able to experience it means you have to be broken. Okay, in some ways. Anyone else? Yeah.
Could it be, I mean, maybe building off of what Danielle was saying, like a commentary on Teshuvah, about how if you're broken or bent, you have the capacity to actually perform Teshuvah, which an already straight thing doesn't have.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah. I think that both these things could be applicable here. Yeah. So one way to think about it, in addition to what was said already, there's nothing more whole than a broken heart. Because if you don't have a broken heart, it's kind of like you don't have a heart at all. Like in The Wizard of Oz, what was it, the Scarecrow or the
Tin Man.
The Tin Man? He had no heart. By the way, there was a famous case in Europe, something like 300 years ago or so, that someone was shechting a chicken. They slaughtered a chicken, and when they went to butcher the chicken to prepare it for the salting process for kosher, they found out that the chicken had no heart. And there ensued a whole halachic debate amongst the greatest rabbis of the time. Is that chicken kosher? And there was huge fights about it, huge fight, not fist fights, don't worry. Huge fights about it. Some of the greatest rabbis of the time weighed in. Is the chicken without the heart kosher or not? Anyway, but I digress.
I'll use the word disagreements, huge disagreements.
Fight. They were fighting, but it was fighting for the right purposes. Anyway, a person without a broken heart is, in a sense, he has no heart at all. Why? Because if you don't feel, if you can't feel, then you have no heart. Because what is the heart for? The heart is for feeling. I mean, literally, the heart is for pumping blood, right? But conceptually, the heart we always think of as the seat of the emotions. When you want to say to someone, I love you, it's I with a heart. I heart you. Heart means love. Heart means feelings. So if I don't feel for another, if I don't feel for myself, then it's like I have no heart. It's like, after October 7th, do you know anybody who didn't cry? Can't be. Such a person has no heart. How could you not cry? If you could imagine such a person didn't cry, I would assume that if you would cut them open, not that you should, and look inside, you'd find they're just like that chicken in Europe. No heart. So the very ability to feel broken means that you have a heart. Baruch Hashem. And if you have a heart, so you could feel. If you could feel, You're gonna feel pain, which we shouldn't feel, but and you're also gonna be able to feel love and care. So that's maybe what they meant when the Chassidim of Kotsk said that there's nothing more whole than a broken heart. Because you don't have a broken heart, you don't even have a heart. You can't feel, if you don't feel pain, you can't feel joy either. So that's indicative of a wholeness, a completion. Questions, comments? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to skip a little bit now. And I want to give you a little bit of introduction, and we may have to continue this next week, this part of the discussion. So there are two types of good, broadly speaking. Concealed good and revealed good. What's revealed good? Give me an example of revealed good. Not a trick question. What's an example of revealed good? Open good.
When you help someone.
You help someone, okay? Good example. Good example.
Opening the door for someone.
Holding the door for someone, yeah, good example, sure. Sure.
Donating money with your name attached.
Donating money with your name attached, okay? Even without your name attached, also good, but yeah. Or maybe on even more like on a basic level. You know what's good? Candy. Candy's good. People love candy. Even infants know. How do they know, by the way? How do babies know that candy's good? I saw them, okay, you see, like they right away know, give them a choice.
Because they're not allowed to have.
You can choose the candy. Okay. But then there's also concealed good. Concealed means it's hidden. Maybe an example would be like this. Tell a child, I give you two choices. I'll give you $100 cash right now. You can buy all the candy you want. Or I'll take this $100 and I will put it in an investment. And in 20 years from now, they're going to get back way more money than you invested. Which do you choose? So a child most likely, I mean, at a certain age, they figure this out. And that age is getting younger and younger. But at a certain age, they're going to give me the $100 right now. I want cash money. Go buy candy. Go buy ice cream. What do you mean? You're going to put it in the bank? What's a bank? When it invested, what's an investment? It's going to grow exponentially. What does the word exponentially mean? What do you mean? And you tell the child, no. You don't understand. It's so much better if you just wait. It's so much better to wait. Child's like, what are you talking about? No matter how you'll try to explain it, a child cannot grasp how it could be better to wait rather than good that's present right here, right now. Another example, now a little bit more extreme. And again, we're probably gonna have to continue this topic for next week. I'm the only parent in the room so far. However, I think that every parent I've ever spoken to has had the following experience. You're outside with your kids, and one of them runs into the street. God forbid. Can you fast forward a few years in your life? How do you react as a parent?
Run.
Huh?
You run.
Run to what?
The kid.
And then do what?
Grab it.
Grab him. Like gently?
No.
No. You don't grab the child gently. Oh, so please don't do that. You grab the child forcefully, maybe squeezing the arm and yanking the child out of the street. And then what do you do after that?
Scream.
You scream.
Discipline.
This is beyond discipline. You scream at the child. Don't you ever dare do that. And you scream until they burst into tears.
Oh.
Not intentionally. That's just what happens. Every parent I've ever asked has had this exact same experience. And the child starts crying. Tati, what are you screaming at me for? What did I do wrong? I wasn't playing, I'm running. What did I do wrong? Why are you hurting me? You're hurting me. Let go of my arm. Why are you screaming at me? The child's crying hysterically. The child doesn't know what goes on. The child's fine. Kid's fine. The fathers and mother are more shaken up than the kid. The kid doesn't know what happened. Kid ran on the street. Okay, it's fine. What's the big deal? What are you hurting me for? What are you screaming at me for? Well, what's a better approach? The parent should gently massage the back of the child. Oh, please don't do that again. That's a good approach? That's a horrible approach. Is everybody here laughing because you're flashing back to when your parents screamed at you for something like this? So a child cannot conceive, cannot grasp how what's happening at that moment is extremely good, is coming from the most deep and profound love that the parent has for the child. That the parent instinctually reacts by grabbing forcefully and screaming. You don't plan that. It's a natural growth, a natural outcome of the deep love that a parent has for a child. And if the child says, why are you punishing me? I'm not punishing you. Why are you trying to hurt me? I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm actually trying to save you. And maybe I just did. But a child can't conceive, can't imagine, how could this experience that I'm having now possibly be good? It can't. It hurts. So sometimes it may take 20 years. Sometimes it may take an entire lifetime to be able to shift focus and gain an understanding of the painful experiences in your life. Now, what we just said now, this teaching, take this into your heart and keep it for yourself, and don't say it to someone who's in the moment of pain. I repeat, take this idea, this teaching, this perspective, and bring it into your heart and remember it. And do not repeat it to someone who's experiencing pain at that moment. Imagine you walk into a shiva house, someone's mourning, someone's sitting shiva. You walk in, you're like, hey, how you doing? You should be so happy. It must be good because you're experiencing pain. You get kicked. What's wrong with you? Are you normal? You're the sick person. What's wrong with you? It's not normal. So take this teaching inside. It's for you. I just shared with you a teaching from the Tanya. This is a very deep and practical and relevant teaching for you. There may be times when you may want to share it with someone else as well, but not in a moment of pain. Only when things are smooth, when things are good. Then maybe you're sitting with some friends having a real conversation, a life conversation. And maybe you might mention it. Maybe it'll be a topic for something. So sometimes when a person is experiencing pain at the moment, they can't even understand how could it possibly be that there could be anything good here. And indeed, the story is told of a great rabbi who, the way he made a living, his parnasa, was that he dealt in lumber. And back in Europe, back in the, in the shtetl, because the door is a little bit open, so it sounds even louder. Is that good or bad? The siren is good or bad?
Well, it means someone's in danger.
So that's bad.
The sirens are good because it means that help is on the way. The reason behind the sirens being needed is bad.
Okay, now we've made it a little bit more of a sophisticated understanding. It's bad. I mean, someone's in pain, someone's suffering. Yeah, but it's good because they're on the way. The help is on the way. Okay. Anyway, I couldn't avoid mentioning that since it just happened at the perfect time. I didn't arrange it, by the way. So there was this rabbi, and the way he made a parnasa was not from being a rabbi. He was a teacher. He didn't get paid for being a rabbi, but he dealt in lumber. And the lumber was in those days was there was, of course, every city in Europe is built on a river, right? Paris is on the Seine, and the Danube River and various other rivers. All cities are built on a river, typically, river or the ocean. And so when they would go to the forest and chop down the trees into logs, they would put the logs in the river. And then, that's how they would transport. They didn't have big semi trucks and vehicles. They would transport the logs down the river to the next destination. And then he could sell it and make a profit over there. And then he could, afford to feed his family. So at one point, this rabbi's entire financial investment was in a certain crop of logs that they had taken from the forest or in the river. There was a lot of rain, bad weather, and flooding and this and that, and all his lumber became waterlogged, and all the logs sunk to the bottom of the river, and he lost his entire his entire finances. But he didn't know because he was in the yeshiva learning Torah. So students were saying, oh no, who's going to break it to him? That he's penniless, he's got nothing. All the money, all the logs that he was going to sell to live, to make a living, support his family, and continue to be able to study Torah uninterrupted, it's all gone. He's got nothing. Who's going to break it to him? Not me. How about you? No, I'm not going to break it to him. So finally, they decided we need a strategy. Strategy as follows. We're going to go, one of us will go to the yeshiva where he's studying right now, and we will tell him that we have a question in the Gemara. And we're going to open up the Gemara and show him. And can you explain this passage over here? Great strategy, they say. So one of them goes to the yeshiva and he takes out the Gemara, the first volume of the Gemara, brachos, blessings. In the volume of brachos is discussed brachos, blessings. What blessing do you say in an apple? On all the various other laws of blessings and a lot of other stuff too, including a discussion about what blessing do you say when something bad happens? The bracha of Baruch Dayan Ha'emes. Blessed is the true judge. It's a blessing. Then the Gemara says the following. Just like a person should recite a blessing when something good happens, so too a person should recite a blessing when the opposite happens. So one of the students approached the rabbi, excuse me, may I interrupt? Do you have a moment? Sure, of course, a moment for you. Of course, I always have a minute. Explain what this means over here. That just like you should say a blessing for good, you should also say a blessing for the bad. The rabbi says, sure, no problem. And he offers an explanation. Good, makes sense? And the student says, I don't get it. Could you explain it again? So the rabbi says, sure, of course. Our sages tell us, even 100 times. If one of your students asks a question, you answer even 100 times, explain it again. Sure, no problem. So he explains it again. Just like we recite a blessing for something good, so too we recite a blessing for something bad, and he gives again a whole deep explanation. And the student says, Rabbi, I still don't get it. I don't understand what you're saying. No problem. Explains it again. Deeper and deeper explanation, uncovering more and more layers. And the student again says, but Rabbi, I still don't get it. So again, the same thing. Finally, the student says, Rabbi, if I would tell you that your entire fortune was lost because all of your logs sunk in the river, would you say a blessing for that? And the rabbi says, of course I would. That's what it says right here. It says right here in the Gemara, we're discussing now for the last 20 minutes. Of course I would recite a blessing. Well, in that case, the student says, you could recite a blessing right now. And the rabbi fainted and fell out of his chair. When he came to, he said, Rabbi, I thought you said that you understood it. He said, I did, until it happened to me. So nobody's whitewashing anything. Life can be hard. Life can also be amazing, obviously, it goes without saying. But when we have these challenges in life, there are strategies to weathering the challenges. And generally speaking, it's not waiting until you're in it. Don't wait until you're in it. But we load ourselves up when we're feeling great, when we're doing well with strategies and perspectives. And so there's nothing more whole than a broken heart, because that means we can feel. So the very fact that I feel something is good, and it shows that I'm capable of feeling. So on the positive side, to conclude, on the positive note, it's always good to conclude on a positive note, that we shouldn't have to have bad experiences and painful experiences to be able to know the good experiences. And hopefully we'll all be fortunate enough to experience the sweetness of life only, and not the bitterness of life, but only the sweetness of life. And when we experience the sweetness of life, the best thing you can do is share it with another person. So any questions or comments, anyone? All right, thank you everyone for coming to the first class of GPS for the Soul part 2 or 3, depending how you count, David. And see you, God willing, next week, same time, same